First and foremost, all thanks and praises unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Wawakakwadash. Peace, blessings, much respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, on down to the rest of the elders who rule well within Israel. Salutations to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of this whole entire earth, no matter where, whom they may be, or what they may look like, pushing out this purified truth. To the rest of the church who believe as well, you men who may not be teachers or prophets, you women, sons and daughters also. The water to Yahweh Shai, because without him enduring and going to that cross for the nation of Israel and the nation of Israel alone, none of this would even be possible whatsoever. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and verse 9. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. We do these videos for the wise of our people, also known as the elect, those who hearken, those who have ears to hear the understanding, the truth of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Those are who we teach. Let's read this again. Give instruction. The instruction is found within the Bible. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. Over time, if you're a just man, if you're a wise man, you're going to increase in learning. And as you increase in learning, it comes with sorrow. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 18. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. So as you grow in this ministry, you start to witness grief. You go through sorrow because you're seeing things through the lens of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. You're seeing things ain't right. People in the world, they're of the world. They're not bothered. Okay? People in the world are like someone who's, taking a dump and it stinks, but because they've been sitting in it for so long, they don't even smell it no more, right? Our people are so gone, they're so destroyed in their mind, and it's been going on for so long, they don't even acknowledge it. So this society doesn't bother them, but it bothers us because we see things ain't right. And seeing that things aren't right, it creates a sorrow and a grief within us. But we have to set those things to the side in this ministry because, the flesh will find anything in its desperateness to, be weak. Second Ezra 14 and 14, let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature. And putting off now the weak nature, seeing that we're in this flesh, the flesh is weak. This flesh is very feeble. Okay? The flesh is what makes you tired. The flesh is what makes you go off. It's the flesh that can make you feel like every day is the same, knowing every day is a spirit of its own. Okay? Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away from thee the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, because the weak nature is our flesh. Okay? Let's go to Matthew's. Matthews 26 and 41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. So seeing that our flesh is weak, we have to put off that weak nature. We have to put off the nature of carnality. Okay? Because through that is weakness. We get power through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Because through our flesh, we are weak. Because we're sinners in this flesh. All right, but through Yahweh Shai, that sin is going to be overthrown. It's going to be condemned. We're going to be justified if we be of the elect, although we are in our weakness, although we go off. Let's touch on Romans chapter 8 and verse 3. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the power sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. Why? Yahweh Shai was perfect in the flesh. He didn't go off when he came as his ultimate self. We understand, those of us who have the understanding, that Yahweh Shai came as other beings through reincarnation, but his ultimate self being Yahweh Shai, just like who we are right now, this isn't our ultimate self. Okay, if you're Paul in the kingdom, more than likely your name's going to go back to Paul in the Hebrew. Okay, if you happen to be Amos, your name might be Christopher right now, but in the kingdom, more than likely your name is going back to Amos because that's your ultimate self. Yahweh Shai, when he came as his ultimate self, he condemned sin in the flesh. Okay, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the power sending his own son in the likeness of his sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. And that's through Yahweh Shai. Through our weakness, we're able to be justified because our flesh is weak. Okay, but we shouldn't set our mind on things of the flesh because that's what breaks us down mentally. All right. Let's touch on Mark chapter 2 and verse 22. And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doth burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put into new bottles. A lot of people who are of a certain age, they become stuck in their ways. And back in the ancient world, if you were to get a bottle of wine, it didn't come in a glass bottle like it does today. It was in like a bag type deal. And if you were to keep putting wine into this bag, eventually that bag, I forget what it was called, but it would eventually burst. Okay, because it's becoming used up. So, and no man putteth new wine into old bottles. And this truth often is told to those who are younger men. And those younger men usually are more able to shake off their stubbornness more compared to an older man, although it's not impossible. The Lord does bring in older men too. All right. But I bring this out because I read at the beginning, teach the wise and they will learn, in Proverbs 9:9. A lot of our people, they feel like they're too good to learn. They don't want to hear about putting off the flesh. They don't want to hear some younger man telling them what to do. Someone they don't know telling them how to live. But the elect are going to understand. And like Yahweh Shai, the elect are going to have a quick understanding. Okay? And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doth burst the bottles, and the new wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put into new bottles. All right. And again, it's not speaking of glass bottles. All right. It was speaking of the material used at that time. Again, it was like what do you call that, man? I'm so mad that I can't think of it right now. It's almost like a flask made of skin or something. Like whether it be from a cow or whether it be from, I wish I could. Let me see if I can find something right quick. Give me a moment. Well, I can't find what I'm looking for, but okay. But I guess what comes to my mind, okay, instead of it being how I explained it, think of more like wine put in like a leather bag, and that leather bag would have like a lid on it. So this isn't speaking of wine that comes in bottles like today. Okay, but if you were to go back in the ancient world and you were to get a bottle bag or like a leather bag or something, and you put your wine in there and you drink out of it, if you were to keep putting wine in that, eventually, a hole would slowly start building and the material would become weaker and the wine would just start leaking out. Okay. But for an example, that's what I could think of. A lot of older men do not like to be told by younger men anything. You tell an older man who's in his 50s that he's an Israelite and he's been going by African American, or he calls himself an Egyptian, he may not want to hear what you have to say. That's why often men come into this truth as younger men. Okay. But the older men who do come in, that's definitely a blessing. That's a miracle. Okay. It's not impossible. It does happen. But we teach these scriptures to those who are wise, and usually the wise start with men who are younger in age, men who have a mind to want to learn, not men who feel like they know it all. All right, let's go to 1 Timothy's. I don't really know where I'm going with this lesson. I really don't, man. I'm just kind of bringing out some scriptures, hoping that it'd be edifying. This is 1 Timothy's. This is the one I want. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 12. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers, in word and conversation, in charity, in spirit, and faith, and purity. So don't let no man despise thy youth. You come into this truth as a young man. You have some older man telling you, you ain't no Israelite, boy. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. You have an older man trying to tell you what you're doing is wrong. You trying to keep the commandments is wrong. And then that might make you feel insignificant because you're pondering on weak things. You're pondering on the flesh. Okay. This ministry is really changing men, really maturing men quickly. And as I stated earlier, we're going to have a quick understanding like Yahweh Shai if we be of the elect. Now, that doesn't mean you'll get all the breakdowns right away, or your mind will be just perfectly sharp and you can pull up scriptures at the top of your head all the time. But we'll have a quick understanding when this truth comes out. It will resonate with us. It won't take us 7, 8, 9 years to realize, oh, okay, I see what that brother was saying. Isaiah 11 and 3. And shall make him, speaking of Yahweh Shai, of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. That's what makes a judge. And a lot of men, they go off what they see and what they hear. That's not how you judge a matter. You really have to dig into a situation, make sure, everything is everything, because rumors and deception from your eyes could have you bearing false judgment yourself. And Yahweh Shai wasn't living in that manner. Yahweh Shai was about righteousness. And he shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And that goes for us too. We're made of quick understanding. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. So you might hear something negative about a brother. That doesn't mean you believe it. You observe the situation. Okay, you might consider, but just because a brother is evil spoken of and it's going off of a brother that you're in favor of, that doesn't make it right. That's not how a judge is supposed to be doing things. You're going off what it seems. It seems like this is this and that and that, and that is that. But how do you know that's what it is? All right. But Yahweh Shai was made of quick understanding, and we have to be in that form also. And part of having quick understanding is knowing that we have to set aside that weak nature, remaining humble, and knowing that us being young, a lot of us coming into this truth young, it's a lot easier to come in young and observe and listen to the words of the Bible, because you're not as stubborn and stuck in your ways. You know, somebody who's 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, they feel like whatever they've been believing their whole life, that's just what it's going to be. Okay. Let's go to, trying to think here. I'm going to close it with this because I'm kind of everywhere with this lesson. I have no idea where I'm going with this lesson. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 6. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor of the princes of this world that come to naught. And the wisdom of this world, that's what keeps you in that low frequency, that low state. Keeps you focused on weak things, things that don't matter. Keeps you focused on the weak elements of nature and not the kingdom of heaven. But we speak the wisdom of the power in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which the power ordained before the world unto our glory. So a lot of people don't understand where we're coming from. How can young men be on the streets with so much authority and so much conviction and try to tell me I'm an Israelite when I've been calling myself an African American or Mexican or Puerto Rican, or I've been calling myself Guatemala, or I've been calling myself Argentinian, or I'm from Colombia, so I'm Colombian, right? I'm a Seminole Indian. I'm Cuban. I'm Haitian. How dare you tell me I'm an Israelite? You just a young man. Well, the Lord's dealing like that. Okay? And we're telling these mysteries openly, but a lot of people just can't receive it because they're too focused on the flesh. They're focused on weak things. They're focused on carnality. And you got to set aside those things. You got to set aside that weak nature. Having a lack of faith, having a lack of belief, that's a weak nature. So I'm going to go ahead and close this here. Like I said, I didn't really know where I was going. Hopefully it hit somewhere with you. And I'm going to give all thanks and praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wa Rakak Wadash, Shalom.